welcome to Color Me Happy podcast. My name is Brandy Hofer, your host. Thank you so much for being here today. I sure do appreciate your time. It's always nice having pals around and connecting through different means, like podcasts or social media or any of all the things, emails. Sometimes texting and calling even. My one podcaster friend, I was like, how do you get these like huge guests on? And he's like, I just like text and call them. Like, you do you. Yeah, that works. Already pretty off topic. Okay, so we have an amazing guest on today, and it's such an important topic because I know that everyone struggles with it. And or doesn't. So good for you, I guess. Money. Money is such a strange beast. And in this episode, we talk about money monsters. And Leah also, Leah Guzman, I have her beautiful book. And so I'm working through her book right now. And it's very good. And it's The Art of Manifesting and Healing. It's upstairs on my table. And I don't feel like running upstairs and getting it for you right now. You can visit her profile and find all her cool stuff that she does. She does one-on-one. She has The Art of Healing and Manifesting. That's what it's called. She has an oracle deck. She has the amazing book that I'm reading. And she has great exercises for kind of dealing with what we're chatting about in this episode. I know I haven't done the money monster exercise yet, but I will. So I'll keep you posted. I'll let you know what mine looks like. Clearly, I've been avoiding it. But I did start her book, and I do yoga Saturday mornings. Well, I attempt to while my child Teddy crawls all over me, but it's fun. It's like our way to connect. Sometimes he leaves for at least 5 minutes and I can like close my eyes and breathe. And last Saturday I was working on through Leah's book on inner child, and I don't believe in like ghosts or weird stuff or things. Like, I really don't. I think it's just like, I don't. Anyway, but I'm starting to believe in some of the things, and if they're not real, whatever, it made you feel a certain way and helped you out, right? So I'm there. I get it. There's something higher at work for sure, whatever that looks like for you. I'm super open to hearing about it, and you can feel free to share it. So I was doing my inner child work in Leah's book. She helps you uncover some of those things and through guided meditations. So I was wearing headphones, so I was listening to like the guided meditation, obviously. And I literally saw a shadow move in the front hall on the way to the door, and I heard the door slam. And so much so, and my children were behind me on the couch, so I was like, weird. And then I went and got up and checked the door, and like nothing, no package, no anything, no one left. It was just like a door slam. And I'm like, oh, that's weird. And honestly, I felt like what I was going through and what I was meditating on was like the inner child. And, I was working on why I felt shame around some things, specifically about deserving anything. If you feel like you don't deserve anything, you're going to have trouble feeling like you deserve money. Like, I have trouble taking a compliment even. I feel very awkward, and I always say something really silly in return. And so I can't even talk about it. So I felt like at that moment that shame was leaving. That part of myself was just like, okay, we're good. And it's helping me move forward. So as difficult as these things are, and as squeamish as we get when we speak about, why we feel the way we feel and why we speak and act the way we speak and act, is uncovering obviously things from your past and finding out why. I don't like to delve in those areas too long because that in itself, you can stay in. And I don't want you to stay in the depths of, traumas or anything, but it can help you work through a few things and move forward. So that's what we're talking about. And it's just so freaking cool. So make sure if you do listen to this, share your experiences or what you thought in our Color Me Happy community. It is free, or check out all Leah's spots. So she's an art therapist. She runs also a free group, and she has a Creative Soul Society. So I'm going to let you get to the episode. It's really, really fun, and I know you'll get a lot from it. Even though I was interrupted 40 times by my son, Finn, it was still a good one. Alrighty. The first time. So we actually had Leah on once already, when her beautiful new... See, I wasn't ready for you, but I also have been working in your book.
Oh, that's amazing.
So I've been working in... trying to take the time. And if you haven't tuned into the first episode, please do so, because it's so good. And Leah wrote this beautiful, beautiful book, and many others, as well as this really cool Oracle deck. Aren't you doing a giveaway right now?
Yes. No. I'm going to be doing a free experience called Get Into the Creative Flow. And part of like putting it out there, I want to be able to give away a book, an Oracle deck, and I have little painting classes that go with it. It's kind of like a bundle.
Wow.
So I'm doing a drawing right now. Yeah. Whoever shares it gets entries.
Oh, that's such a good idea. Yeah, I love it when let's talk about that. So how long have you been working on like your community? Can you tell everyone what your community is called?
Yeah, so the Creative Soul Society, it's a membership group, and I started it like 2.5 years ago. So like right before the pandemic hit. And before that, I started doing these free experiences, and I have this online Facebook group called the Creative Soul Online Retreat Group. And it's a larger community, but there were people in there that were like, I'd love to meet, on Zoom, and we could have like hands-on. Yeah, because when I go in there and when you present or you're in there, like it's just very one-sided. So that's why I started the Creative Soul Society. So it's more intimate, where we can meet on Zoom and talk and do more. It's more about art making. We meet twice a month for art making, with specific topics, usually about health, mental health, because that's I'm an art therapist, so I like to, focus on that. So just about being expressive. And then I like to do artist interviews. So I got to interview you, which was awesome.
Yes, thank you for having me. That was really fun. I was very sick, but it was super fun.
I'm glad you're
better. It, but like, that's me on kind of a normal day. I think I was extra out of it that day, but yeah. Before we actually start, I was like, I was painting not in my pants because I they were like my nice sweatpants. So I work out of my home a lot. This is my home studio, and one day that might change, so I can have like my own personal, more of a space. But I don't have time to get to a space right now. So
where you're at is perfect.
I was in my nice sweats, my new ones, like fancy, and I got paint on them, and so the time lapse was going. So I knew too, and I was so into this big giant custom.
Oh, that's gorgeous! Yeah, I haven't seen that yet.
And I couldn't stop because she's so powerful, and so I just had to take off my pants and keep going. No pants painting. I'll just do a class called No Painting Without Pants.
Wow, that's funny.
Anyway, sorry. That was so that's so great. So were you expecting your community to like grow and expand and do so well? Like it's doing well, right?
Yeah, we have about 50 members, and I mean, people can come and go as they please. And I feel like it's good. Like it feels nice that usually even though we have 50 members, there's about 15 people that will show up, and they're always kind of someone different, but then there's always some that are the same. So it has like a kind of like a consistency of like we can kind of catch up when we meet. Like they can tell us about like what's going on in their life, and just kind of keep tabs on each other. And so that part is nice.
Yeah, and anyone looking to get into like coaching or mentorship or like finding a mentor, I feel like mastermind groups or like community groups, to join them and test the waters and see if you connect with those people, because and you'll get so much out of it. And it's a little bit more, if you're just getting your toes wet, it's a little more affordable than getting a a coach can be very expensive, and people are like, I'm going to take the leap. And we're talking about money manifesting today, and Jen Sincero, I'm like a super dork fan of her work.
Yes.
And she always is like, invest in a coach. And I'm like, I don't think I can jump on the train of, like, she did the $85,000. I'm like, I don't know. No, Jan. I'm like, I really like your, like, what, I don't know how much your book is, your $15 book. You already did it all. Like, this is like my deal. This is like my package. She did all the coaching and the stuff. And this is like, you made it into a package for me. So
Right.
it's like a deal.
Well, I think that goes to show like investing in ourselves, of how we are so scared to invest in ourselves, but yet as artists, as creatives, putting ourselves out there, we're wanting people to invest in us. So it's like that double standard. So we have to really think about that, about putting yourself out there and really, charging what you're worth, because that's important.
Because the other way hurts so bad.
Yeah.
The other way, if you're not charging for what you're worth, it's just, you won't feel good about it. And it's like an exchange. It's an energy exchange. And I'm sure you can talk about that. And it is taking leaps of faith, and it is it's actually continually putting yourself out of your comfort zone. Yes. I would say, like New York, did I know, or like, was I going there to sell artwork? Not really. I was going to New York because my artwork could be in New York, and then I also could be in New York. So it was quite an investment, and it was an investment in myself as a person and a creative, and who I wanted to surround myself with and who I wanted to be around. And it was more about that than the artwork itself, or making sales. And so many things have come from that big leap of faith. Like, it's so crazy. And actually, we just had Juliana on last week. I haven't released it yet, but she'll be released this week, about manifesting specifically, because I feel like I'm a manifesting queen now. I literally said I wanted to do large scale custom work to my sister on the phone. And then like 3 days later, a woman's like, oh, I saw your work. Sarah Baumler moved your painting to her office in Florida, and I would like one of me, please.
Oh, beautiful. Congratulations.
It works. So, and for me, I didn't come from a family with money. So money wasn't all around, and it was like hard to get, and you had to work really hard. But both my parents worked really super hard. They never made money, and they worked together. And my mom actually worked with people with developmental disabilities. So I feel like her work was more like heart work, and the monetary stuff, that wasn't her. So can you talk a little bit about say you're like me and you're just starting out. And when I started out, I was hiding that Jen Sincero, You're a Badass at Making Money book, like everywhere. I was just hiding it. And I was super pregnant. I was waddling around and like had it in my lawn chair thing, and then like super embarrassed by it. And I ended up, I don't know why I sit here digging in my stuff. Hold on. What do you got? You can have those. Take the box. You can have them. Those, yeah. Yes. So like very like kind of a non-believer in the magic, the manifesting, the mindset. Everything was brand freaking new. And I came from like, there were people in my life that, money is bad because you'll be greedy and mean and whatever, like pretty bad thing. So starting out, what is your first spoon? Box 55 is yours. Yeah. All right. Enjoy it. I'm happy if he's taking my extra business cards that I don't use.
Take them, hand them out. Yeah, so I'll just kind of start off because I was not aware that I even had a problem, that money was an issue. And the thing was, where it kind of came about was it was a point where I was in complete burnout. My kids were little. I was practicing art therapy, but I wasn't invested in my own art practice. So I was like this giver of saying yes to everyone, doing this people pleaser thing. And I was just so burned out. I was just like in my bathroom at night crying. It's like, what's going on with me? Like everyone's healthy.
Super hard. Shouldn't I be making money?
Well, the thing happened was I ended up investing in myself. I got an art therapist, which I felt very guilty about. Like I was just like, should I spend money on this? Those kind of things were happening. And so when I actually went and got help, which I'm so happy I did, it got me back into my art making. And when I got back into my art making, I realized, oh my gosh, I want to make art and I want to make it in a bigger way. Like I want to actually sell my art because I've been an artist all my life, but I never really put myself out there. And so it kind of like opened this door of like, wow, I want to sell my art. So then when I wanted to sell my art, I started putting it out there and people would say like, well, how much is it?
Yeah.
It's a simple question, right? And it would freak me out. Like I literally have like a physical reaction. Yeah, I would like have anxiety. I'd have this fear. And then as I was putting myself out there, especially like online, I started putting my art therapy practice online too. I started talking about that more. And then people would ask me, obviously like the pricing and things like that. I'm like, what is going on with me that I'm scared to tell people a price? So I was like, you know what? I think I need a coach. This is my next step. And I was scared to even invest in that. I even went to ask my husband, like, this lady's going to charge me like $500. What do you think? And he's like, well, if you feel like you need it, then do it. And it was like, okay. It was almost like I was asking permission. And I look back at that and I was like, wow, I was like so scared to invest in myself. I'm asking other people for permission. Like, what is wrong with me? Right. And so I've had several coaches since the first one, but it was really great because we focused on the money and she was really good with money. So she really helped me realize I had a problem because I didn't even know I had a problem. She would, one of the first things that she had me do was rip up a dollar bill, and which sounds kind of crazy, but I had to videotape myself and it was just a dollar bill, just a piece of paper. And I freaked out. I looked at it, I was like, oh my God. And I was like, why am I freaking out about this? And her question was, well, what was your first memory of money? I was like, well, I don't know. My dad gave me $20. I asked for it. It's not that big of a deal. But the real question was that made me wake up was, what was your first experience where money brought me some sort of pain or anxiety or had an issue? So that's when I started kind of diving deeper. And it was really interesting. It was like the same time that I heard this interview with, there's this woman called Morgana Ray, and she's all about money too. You can look her up as well. And she talked about a money monster. And I write about this in my book because when I heard her story, it was about how she helps people heal their money monster. She takes them to this guru in India. They do this like energy healing. And if you have a money monster, then you're going to have anxiety, you're going to have this fear, and you're going to be pushing away money. And I was like, wow. But she said it's related to some sort of incident that you had in your past. And I was like, well, what incident are they talking about? And then I had this like flashbulb moment of where my monster came from. And it was when I was little. I was like 12, 13 years old. I had a stepfather at the time who was a monster. That's what I would call him. At that time, we had a lot of money. Like we had the fancy house and the boat and fancy cars and stuff like that. And when they divorced, all that stuff went away, all the fanciness. And so we ended up having to move. My mom ended up getting a job in another state. And so I had to leave like all my family, all my friends, everything that I knew. And it was because of money. Right. And so I never really processed those emotions. And so money was scary for me. I was like, oh my gosh. And I made that connection. I was like, that's what it's from. It was from that moment when money wasn't there anymore. And it freaks me out. And so I created my own money monster drawing. And then I ended up creating my own money monster or money.
Yeah, buddy.
Can I watch YouTube now?
Sounds good. Bye-bye. All right. Money monsters. Yeah, I think like a lot of people I bet have money monsters.
Yes.
Like I definitely have money monsters, like shame. And it is teenage years. It's, you're so vulnerable
Yeah.
And you care so much what people think that if you don't have money, it's like, I remember I only had like 3 shirts and 2 pairs of pants. Like it was, and there's lots of money here and everyone had a car and I had my dad's like 15-year-old Astrovan. That like was a death trap of a vehicle. And I just remember being really, we always had enough for food.
Mhm.
I don't know how, because she made $23,000 a year, which is nothing.
Yeah.
So there's a lot that goes into, but yeah, keep going, talking about.
Yeah. So she also talked about the money honey. So it's like getting in touch with like healing your money monster, identifying that it's there, what it looks like. And I write about this in my book, like a technique of getting in touch with your money monster. So you can like, it's in the root chakra section when you get to that one. It's at the end of the book.
So you're telling me I have a goal now here to get to the end.
Yeah, you can jump there if you like. Yeah, so the money monster, healing that, realizing that I had a money monster. It's like, oh, that's where this fear is coming from. And then also realizing that you can have a better relationship with money to get to your money honey. And then I did a whole drawing about my money honey. And that's like that's the manifesting one. And it was so interesting. Like the day that I did that, I sold $1,000 painting. Like it was like the craziest thing. I was like, oh my God, the universe is speaking to me. Like it's telling me I need to continue doing this work. So, continuing, doing the work.
Is that a correlation between the hive pattern in your work? Like, is there?
Well, I feel like it's energy. Like that's why I like the hive pattern, because I just feel like I feel like I need some sort of like repetition, but it's just kind of like this.
Ties it all together.
Yeah, definitely feel it.
And I know some people are going to be like, she is talking so much about the universe and magic lately. She's nuts. But I went the other way for a really long time, folks, and it was not the fun way. This works. I don't know how to explain it. I really can't, but I think it is worth investigating.
Most definitely. And that's why you have to think about it. It was like a big experiment. And I started experimenting with my clients. So like I'll have clients that come to me and they'll have money issues. And that'll be like something that like we need to address. I had one, and I write about this in my book as well. And I actually used her art in there about like she wanted to heal her money monster, and just getting in touch with, what your parents talk about, like money, like what were the first things that you remember, because that's your subconscious mind. All that is imprinted in your mind, and that your subconscious mind is your beliefs. That's what's ruling you, right? And so you have to start becoming aware of it. So she drew her money monster, and then when we got to her money honey, she also had wanted to manifest a boyfriend. And it was so interesting because she did her money honey, and then about 6 months later, this was like after we had been working together, she got a boyfriend, and she showed me a picture. That was her money honey. Her boyfriend ended up being weird. It was like the same guy. I was like, this is the craziest thing. I called her up and I was like, this is insane.
That is so crazy.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. It is. It's so weird. And I remember when I was telling my dad, like last year when I owed my taxes, it was my most profitable year. It wasn't anything crazy, but I was like, so I owe this much on my taxes. And he was like, oh, you just got to not make so much. I was like, Dad, that is not the solution to paying taxes.
Right. This is an expansive. Like it's like you can make more.
I'm like, it's a good thing. I just have to be prepared for this moment every year. Like I'm like, no, the solution's not to make less.
Exactly.
But yeah, it's so deep rooted. And yeah, it probably usually starts with parents. So money monster as in like and money honey, like a literal thing, or like can it be abstract?
You mean drawing it out? Like when you actually do some art for yourself around it? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
It's hard to focus because this guy's really
right. You have this little guy. He wants some love and attention.
Well, he hasn't for only when it's like, when your mom talked on the phone, all of a sudden you really wanted to talk to your mom.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. He wants to just be with you.
They ignore me pretty hard. All right.
Make it that little.
All right. Yeah, keep going.
That's okay. Yeah. So you're talking about, is it literally? Yeah, I think you can literally make a monster, like drawing it out and then including all those the words from your parents or even your own messages that you have, like you're scared of money, that it freaks you out, that it's you never have enough. Like looking at the messages that you say to yourself, because obviously you need to know what they are so that you can change that messaging. And that's what I love mantras. I think mantras are cool.
Visual, like sorry to interrupt. Writing a letter to money, and or making some sort of illustration or anything that goes around it. I'm sure you do like emotion paintings and stuff like that too with your art therapy, right? Like
yeah, because usually it's not just one time. It's not like it's just like a one-time fix. It's having a relationship, and healing takes a while because things come up, as you expand, as you grow and want to invest more in yourself. It can get scary, right? And so it's part of that process of what does that feel like, and then how are you open to receive. I think that was the biggest thing for me because I was such a giver, and because I had that people pleaser mentality, which thank goodness I stopped doing. But it was hard for me to accept things. Like even when someone gave me a compliment, I had to start very small. I would say, oh no, that's an old whatever, it's not that big a deal. Or I was like, how can I start baby steps of being able to receive? I give and receive, and so accepting compliments.
That's a tough one.
Yeah. And it's like the smallest things.
Oh my gosh, it is really hard to take a compliment.
Yeah.
Yeah. Totally.
And then just keeping that energy flow throughout the day of just like when you go to a grocery store and like tipping the person who helps bag you, or or giving a little bit more somewhere, of just having that flow, and then it feels good, right? Because you could the person smiles and they're excited, so you could see that. So I say start with baby steps.
So money as currency, but currency as energy.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So it's you can start to see the expansion, but you have to give it a lot of love and attention. I think that's the biggest thing.
It takes forever. It really, well, and like you said, it's an ongoing thing.
Money dates, like sitting once a week and really looking at what's coming in, what's going out. I wouldn't do that ever. I remember my first coach who was like, sit down and put everything on paper, and I was just like, what?
No, because that'll show how much I'm spending on what. I don't want to know.
Right. So at first it's hard, but then it was so interesting because I remember I really wanted a housekeeper at that time because I just didn't want my kids to be watching TV while I was having to clean, right? And the coach was like, well, I bet you can find money in what you're probably wasting it on. And it was on the cable TV. So when I was able to cut that out, there was money to have the house cleaner.
Hold on, I gotta stop. You can't be in here anymore. Okay, so you started with one tip on sitting down and seeing what you're spending, I would say in a month, right?
Yeah, just do monthly spending, what's coming in, what's going out. And you want to do it for yourself first before you do it with your partner. I think because you want to get clear for you and where you're at, and then sit with the other person, especially if you want to bring something in and they're not ready for it. And then, so it's a way for you to say, hey, well, look at, we're spending this on this and this, we can make some adjustments. So that's why I say do it for yourself. But doing it once a week, I used to do it once a month, but actually once a week is even better, because then you get really laser focused so that you can start planning ahead, and you can really look at, oh, well, I could shift it this way, or I could go this way, because you want to manifest, right? You want to bring in those good experiences, and you want to figure out ways of how to get there. So journaling is another really good way. Journaling about it in the morning, just asking, how can I? If you want to experience something, that whether it's a trip or something for your studio, or new art supplies, things, or a new coach, being resourceful and then being open to the answers. It's so amazing how the universe will provide for you.
So first, though, I think making space too for that, right? You make the space. and figure out today or this week I'm working really hard on making space because I just feel like there's too much going on, there's too much around. So I actually, and like it's more of a mental feeling than anything. So I just like I took a van load of stuff like out of our house.
Okay.
Making space. And then also when I started manifesting and doing many things, I don't love math and I always avoided money. I've always just kind of like made enough and got by somehow, but I'm like, what if I actually tried? Like what would happen?
Right.
And it like at first it didn't work. And I think there's so many things that can block it. But one thing I did was finding like out where it goes and where it flows and where specifically you want it to go. Like what are some goals? Like I would love to get a real head start on our mortgage, right? Like, so what did that look like? It was like changing a whole bunch of different accounts and using my business and flowing it through like our holding company. And it was very complex. And I had to like talk with bankers on the phone, which I find just annoying, and like the technical aspects of doing it all. And you can easily avoid it, but once it's all there, it's like there is the place for it, that's where it is going, and now I'm open and ready for it to go there. It's something about it that you're like, I'm ready now, and it works. Like it's so nuts.
Yeah, well, everything is interconnected. So that's why I mean, money flows through every aspect of our life. So it's really important to have a good relationship with it, obviously. But I mean, if we want to, like work on our house or our living environment, we want to go on trips, we want like good food for ourselves, we want to exercise, our self-care, everything costs money, So we have to look at it as like as a whole. So if we're not looking at it, then we're going to suffer as a whole. So I do have this one technique that I do. It's called the focus wheel, and I'm actually going to be doing it in my free experience. One aspect of the focus wheel is finances, but it does look at every aspect of your life. It takes about 30 minutes to do it. So I do want to invite like your community, people, your friends, and you, if you'd like to join. We're going to be doing it on the third day of the 3-day experience, but it's a really good way because whatever you focus on expands. That's what I'm saying. That's where you want to give that attention to money, because it loves attention and it loves to move. Like I love moving things from my PayPal to my one account to this. Like it likes to move.
Oh my gosh, it's so you're like, oh, I forgot there was some here.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's why it's like you want to look at your life as a whole and saying, okay, what needs more attention? And then as you get more attention, it's going to expand. And I do this focus wheel like every 3 months for myself, and it's so freaking cool to see how, man, I wanted to do this. Now it's happening. Look at, I was like a 1 here. It was just an idea. Now it's at like an 8 because I took the steps to get there. Right. So that's really cool. That's another manifesting tool.
Yeah. It's so funny that you say that, because it just, when you do focus on it or say it out loud and you just do give it attention, it just happens. Maybe not in the way you expect, and you do have to be careful with manifesting and be specific because you can say like, I want money, and you might get like $1,
Right.
You can't just say, I want money. I want more money. Right. I just give me the money. Like, show me the money. That's the line. Almost had it.
Right. And like you can put a dollar amount, and you can also put the word over. You could say, I make 100,000. Okay. But I make over 100,000. Right. So it's like, you always want to think of like that expansiveness
and watch. And yes, not putting a bar on it. I love that. Yeah. And watching your mouth. Like I just said, I don't love math. I mean, I don't love math, but like I will be better at math so I can have the money.
Right.
Like I was doing this mural for this really cool clothing store, The Hive, and I was telling her how much I loved emails. And not a lot of people love emails. And she's like, I hate emails because like those are my bills.
And I don't know why I don't have bills really running through my emails, but I was like, I love emails because that's where my sales are.
Yeah.
You know, so watching your mouth, like and it's like a simple like cup half full or half empty situation. But I was like, you know, also you probably get like a clothing store and they're online and physical, so they probably have at least 50 emails of sales a day. Like I would have been like, yeah, you know,
Right. Appreciating.
Ding ding ding. And I love those. My favorite are like the passive sustainable ones, which when you built your business, I'm sure it felt really good to have, like, say, your book once you got it going. Those are good. Those are the really best feeling ones because you're not putting out so much effort. And when you started offering classes and stuff, it's not like a trade for a physical, like that is set there and it's sold for X amount. And having that like multiple feed of everything supporting you and not depending so hard. I know I jumped topics really hard there, but multiple income streams, is that correct? Yeah, not because, you know, sometimes I sell like 30 or 50 portrait classes and then like the next month 2. Like it's just so you just so then
so it doesn't put pressure on your art as well. So that's what I think is cool. If you have different income streams, then it's not like everything is just like on one thing and it makes it so precious. I think artists are really hard on themselves because they feel like the money has to come from just this. And it's like, you can make money in stocks. You could be making money, you know, like passive income, you know, just making YouTube videos. Well, I guess that's not really passive because you have to make the videos, but I'm just saying, like, you could be doing things that it's just like, it's bringing in money and it's fun.
I feel like for the YouTubers, it can get pretty nuts. So,
but there's different ways. Like I'm just saying, there's so many different ways of making money.
I feel like one of my blocks was, I only can sell paintings. That was a huge block. And actually being a part of the Art Queens and just working with the Katerina Popova, like,
good.
Artists can be multifaceted, right? Or I didn't work with her in one-on-one. I know everyone has. She's just really nice and she would chat with me. So
beautiful.
Yeah, it was very nice of her. And of course, like all the things that are available in the community now. But like we're allowed to do other stuff, and if we're not selling art, like we can like find a different way. Like I did that for so long. Like sometimes it's hard for me to paint now. Like I prefer writing, which is,
well, you go through phases, you know, like
no, this season's a long one though, because I think I did painting for so long, you know, like 15 years is a long time to like try to make that specific thing work. Now that I'm like, I want to write now, like I'm just lots of painting things are coming up. It's okay because it's good. Do you want to know why? It's because I've upped my prices and I have them all set online, so I don't have the fear of telling people or having that conversation when they're like, how much does that cost? Well, they know how much it costs.
Right.
And like it took years and years of taking those leaps, paying someone to do my website, because if I did it, it would have been an effing mess. And like it is taking leaps, but like slow things every day, like just little things every day, because obviously I'm growing 3 very busy people. Interrupt all the time.
That's okay. It's all good, love.
I want to talk about your free, is it 3 days?
Yeah, so I do free experiences every so often. It's coming up again on 11/11. Thought it would be a good number to kick it off. So it's a free 3-day experience. It's called Get Into the Creative Flow. And it's all about learning techniques to heal, because when you get into that creative flow, it can be very healing. And then it's also when you get into the creative flow, you can bring in abundance. So one day is going to be focusing on healing. The first day, the second day is about abundance. And then the third day is about taking action. And so I'm welcome. Anyone's welcome to register, sign up. The sessions are about an hour long, and there's replays as well. But if you come to the lives, I do giveaways, which is always good. I'm doing a lot of giveaways, like a membership giveaway for the Creative Soul Society, my book, my deck. And this is the first time that I'm actually, I do have because I have a signature program called the Art of Healing and Manifesting. So it's more intensive. It's like individual sessions, and it has a mastermind group for if you're like a coach or a therapist, or if you're wanting to like have a business. It has that business component to it. So I'm going to be giving, it's called the Thriving Creative course. So I'm going to be giving away one component of that. So that's part of my bigger one. So I'm excited. It's like,
that sounds amazing.
Yeah, I'm giving away something big. I'm like, because that's like $1,500 versus like my smaller, like my books or something along those lines. So,
and that's what I'm like, when we talk about coaching, like you probably would have paid after that woman coached you. And I know I said I just listened to Jen Sincero's 15. Like I have actually paid art. I would never get into mentorship if I've never had a mentor.
Yeah.
That would be a mistake. I have had consultants. I've worked with lots of people, but I feel like so right now I'm not in that place. But but I've heard of so many amazing people, like especially from the women in our community, and how coaches keep them so on track, and like your program would like really get people organized and free up all that, everything you need to whatever it's about. Sorry.
Yeah, it's definitely about stepping into like sharing your gifts. I think that's what, as creatives, we want to be able to share our gifts. And so just getting clarity, and then kind of getting like, it's about getting a blueprint of how to show up consistently, how to show up confidently, because that's the main thing. It's our self-worth, our relationship. These are the blocks. So it's like, what are those blocks, and let's address them, and let's go forward with fear, and just be okay with the fear, because the fear is not going to go away.
No, the fear doesn't go away at all. And I get so surprised when people, because I've like knocked it down so many times now. So I'm just like, I just sit in fear all the time, and just like, I come out drenched in sweat, but that's what it is. or say something awkward, etc. So I've just and it started actually, I think it was with my second child, and
That's what I named my nails.
your nails look so great. Good, ready to go.
Okay, then sorry.
Yeah, okay, put them on the counter.
Yeah. Actually, I put them somewhere else.
All right, sure, sounds good. What was I? Just mail.
I think you were talking about fear, and then something came
fear. Yeah. So, and something came up for me. Oh my gosh. Oh, right. Sorry. I was pregnant. I think it was my second, and someone came to my home to interview me for a podcast, which was number one. I'm not worthy enough to go on a podcast. Like at that point, I was like, who would want to listen to anything I have to say? And secondly, like, he's like, you should have a podcast. And I was like, that there will never be a day where I will have a podcast. And he's like, he said to me, and it's my friend Sean, and he has a very successful podcast, and he started it working full time, has 3 kids. So anything is possible. But this was when he was just starting out. So he said, you just be yourself. That's all you can do. You can show up as yourself. And I always, those blocks of like, I'm not good enough. I'm not perfect enough. I don't speak in full sentences. Get flustered and he's like, no, just like we did now. You told me about your trip to Montreal and how amazing it was and how it changed your whole life. He's like, that's it. That's it. Just be yourself. And you can only just be yourself. That's all you have to offer. the sooner you accept it, the better.
Yes.
Because it can block you from so many things. Same with when 2 women approached me to speak at an inspiring women's conference. I was like, I don't public speak, so no. And then they were like, well, just meet us for coffee, okay? And I was like, okay, I really like them. I was like, okay, I'll meet you for coffee. And they, of course, talked me into it because I'm also a people pleaser. And I'm like, what am I going to talk about? They're like, well, you'd be speaking for 12 minutes. And I was like, what would people even want me to, I don't have anything to say. And they're like, we think you have something to say.
Mm-hmm.
And then it went on to be the most beautiful experience of my whole entire life. It was in front of 300 women,
Wow.
physically live, and we were all weeping. It was just, it was like an aha moment. And yeah, I was scared. And yes, it took me 2 months to write and put together the PowerPoint and do that speech, but it has led to
now.
Universe, hello. I want to do a TED Talk. You know, yeah. I was nominated for a Women in Business Award and I didn't get it and I was disappointed, but don't take this the wrong way. I was very happy. It was the first year for this annual award. The women in it, I know they're all fantastic. I was disappointed because I didn't get to give a speech. So I'm like, check where that's coming from. So I have this speech and I was like, I want to move people with words, which isn't like, it's kind of obvious. I wrote a book already and I have a podcast and I don't mind speaking in groups now. Mm-hmm. And so that's like, that traveled, long story short, to where I am today. And it started with like showing up on Reels. Like there are baby steps to like, you don't have to be like, okay, we're podcasting. You can go to the beginning of my podcast. It's a struggle. There's proof in the pudding right there. Like it's not great. It's
okay. And you just keep showing up.
But I did it. Yeah, I did it anyway. And I think people connect to like, oh, she's just another human. I can do this too.
Yep. Most definitely.
Right? Yeah. So fear, overcoming, number 1, just like no one knows what they're doing. Do you watch Schitt's Creek?
Yeah, I love that show. I watched the whole thing.
Do you know the scene where David goes to take his driver's license test?
Driver's license test. No, what did he do? Just refresh my memory.
So, and my sister and I talk about this all the time. It's called Nobody Cares. And Alexis gives David the speech about, he's like, you know, freaking out about the driver's test. And he's like, Alexa, you just like float through life. And she's like, let me tell you something, David, nobody cares. Nobody cares about you. Nobody cares. And then she like walks away from the car window. She's like, David, nobody cares. And then he goes and drives. He goes and drives and he's like, looks at the driver, whatever, test guy. And he's like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm DJing tonight and I'm just getting ready for my gig. And he's like, oh my gosh,
nobody cares.
Nobody cares. And Alexa said something like, I actually talked about the scene in my book. Alexa says something, she doesn't float through life. She walks through life in really great shoes or something funny like that. But it's such a good scene. It's such a smart show. Obviously it's so great. But again, nobody cares. Everyone's so wrapped up in all of their shit and all the stuff they have to do and all their worries and things. Like, you might as well do what you want because nobody cares.
Yeah. Choose you. Choose yourself. Put yourself out there and make yourself happy because that's where it's going to come from, right?
Mm.
Oh, I got to go watch that again. I do love that car that he drives, that black car.
Oh, it's such it's speaking of like money, and it's such a good show to show like what is important in life. And then that, you know, if you can make money, you might lose it all, but you can do it again.
Yeah. They remain
right. You already know, how, and if you did it once, you can do it again. And that was one thing for me is I realized money actually always has been here when I needed it. Mm-hmm. Like, even if I didn't have a lot, like I always made what I needed when I did. Like, it's just like my bar was set too low.
Right. We got to be open to receive even more, right? Like just thinking bigger, more expansive.
And I think joining workshops and groups and having a community that like doesn't have the fear of money is super helpful.
Yeah.
Like taking Kat again for an example, when she was like, you know, my goal right now, and this was a few years ago, she's like, it's $10,000 a month. And I was like, whoa there. And then for a few years, I was like, let's try 10,000. And it wasn't there. Like I wasn't there mentally yet. And then like this year she was like, now my goal is like $125,000 a month. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
And then I said to Juliana on the podcast, I was like, why can't it be? Why am I setting my things on her? Like, why can't she make 100? Why can't I? Why can't you? Why can't you make 100? Right. Like, what part of me is saying that, like, whoa, that's way too much, right?
Yeah. It's like, well, if we're doing that, it means that we're judging someone, right? So that's also like cutting that energy. So it's like driving down the street and you look at like a beautiful house. Instead of being jealous, like, why is it not mine? It's to say, wow, that could be mine. I would take that one. Like, bring it on. Like, take a picture in front of it.
Great. Yeah. Now I have the house I want now I have a picture of the house I want, and that's where I want to be.
Yeah.
And then so that's visualization, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I love doing vision boards. I don't know if you're into that or not, but I think they're so much fun, and they do bring a lot of magic. But I think it's more about feeling. It's just being able to embody that feeling of what is it like. I'm saying, like, it's all energy. So if you're being scared, you're going to push it away. But if you can say, what is that like to be a millionaire? What is it like that I could travel whenever I wanted to travel, or live in the house that I love? Like, what you have to embody the feeling of
your why.
And why. Yeah, what's your why? What's your why behind it? And like for me, I go back to like my mission of wanting to get my message out, wanting to be able to have my voice and be able to express myself. To be that is so free. I mean, that's why I love Instagram. I was like, it's kind of like this platform you can just go and voice yourself, and you're just so free.
Yeah,
that's so cool.
It is. And I think the more we don't complain about it, the better. We just had an episode about that with Angie the Rose, like how it's your friend, and it is your friend, and it's connecting to all your other friends. The algorithm is doing you a solid. Like, it's going to find other, creatives for you that, want to take your classes and courses and like your book and are into, like, Instagram's doing the job for you. Like, what is better than that? And it's free, and you get to say positively say and do whatever you want on Instagram. I love that they block the other stuff. That is also so great. And the algorithm is your friend, and the algorithm can be used so I love the videos where like the partner goes up and they're like trying to change their partner's algorithm. That reel, have you ever seen it?
No, I haven't seen that one.
You know how phones or devices, some people have it off, but you can be like, donuts, AWT burgers.
No, they'll see just donuts all the time.
Trip to Phoenix, or trip to Hawaii, beach vacations, vacation rentals, Airbnb, summer homes. So they go and they trick their partner's algorithm into like what they want to.
That's hilarious. I haven't thought about that.
It's such a funny reel. It's like one of my favorites, like a gag reel. But if you want more money manifesting, or if you want more joy or motivation, or if you want to meditate more, or figure out how to join a running group or an avocado farm, whatever you want to do, if you start searching and touching and doing all those things, like, you get fed the stuff you want to see. And same goes with the other way. So you have to be careful. Like, if you're clicking on I can't say who. Oh, I don't know if I can tell this story, but okay. So
I'll bring it to you.
This is throwing
okay, it's fine. But I teach with someone, and we were showing Instagram, and so to the class, and I was looking up like exercises from his computer, and he's like, well, my Instagram's on there, and I was like, so what? So then I went into the search, and I'm like, oh, your Instagram's on here, because mine's filled with like happy moments and other artists, and his was like what my husband's would look like girls who lift, and like the booty. There was like some booty. Yeah. Sorry, person.
Yeah. My husband's Instagram was much different than my Instagram.
Yes.
Mine's very tailored, curated.
They just like, it can take. It's only one click, and it will, cloud your algorithm.
Yeah. Can you hear that? It was like a plane flying very low.
Oh no, I didn't.
Okay,
there's also a that's why I put in my ear things, and hopefully this sounds okay. There's like crying and vacuuming and so many things. You know what? This evening podcast, it doesn't matter. I had a Friday morning podcast, and it was just as bad with interruptions. It's just my life.
It's all good. I do appreciate you having me on here and talking about the subject. It's such an important subject to talk about, because so many people are suffering and they're just unaware of why.
There's so much shame around it. Like I still have shame about wanting money, but I think, and I say this, if you think of yourself as a conduit for your service, or that you're making the world a better place, or you're helping people, or just like you said, like this is your way this is your voice, this is your way of helping people through your creativity or whatever you find. If you think of yourself as like that energy, and then money is energy, and you need that money energy to accomplish any of those things. And before we were interrupted by my second son, you said, or I could have interrupted you myself, but a mantra. Can you talk about mantras?
Yeah, there's so many different good ones. I mean, I love money, so I put that on. I have it on my art little piece I'm looking at right now. I love money, and money loves me. Just thinking of different ones. I put them on my phone. Money's coming to me in different sources, so like from many different sources. So I'm like looking at that. I also put them as I've like changed all my passwords, so that I'm constantly typing in that I'm a multimillionaire. I've changed my password many times because I'll make it to a certain amount, and I'm like, oh my God, I made that much money. Okay, now I need to really be more expansive. So just thinking about like what's going to be repetition, and what will you be open enough to receive, right? And so that's how you can change those blocks with your subconscious mind, because it's that repetition, you start to believe it. Other ones are, I guess it's really looking at, where you might be struggling with, like if you have that shame, and you might not be saying, I love money. You might have to say, I'm learning to love money, right? I'm learning to look at my finances. I'm open to receiving more. So something like around that part, like, there's something that sticks in your mind of like a mantra that you'd like to use.
So my first mantra was, my creativity is worthy, right? My creativity is worthy and powerful. Yes. So I clearly skipped talking about money and that stuff, but it was just, it is worthy. It is worth, having. So that was more like, my creativity is taken seriously as a real business.
Yep.
That's a big one. Like this is a serious business that can support my family, and it can support my life. And so that actually landed me quite a few opportunities. I had it for 1.5 years. I still say it now and again. Mural jobs, this art academy that I founded, which is, it's taken such a load off stress wise for me, because it is like I've been living off of sporadic income with creating, and so now this is like annual
there's a name for it that I'm missing right now, but like it's a stream of steady. It's an annual income.
It's an income
so
stream.
monthly.
Yeah.
I always know that is there, and
Right.
I have a great comfort in that. I didn't know that I had needed it, but after parenting at home for so long and quitting that job and getting over the whole, like, if I have a job that it means I can't be an artist anymore. But here I went and made a job for myself.
Right.
At
It's like a salary. You're getting a salary.
That's the word, salary. I made a job that didn't exist with that mantra, right? Like
Beautiful.
I made a job I never wanted to be like a 8 to, well, teachers, even in their school day goes far beyond the school day. Teachers are amazing. But that, like, show up that time, like that doesn't fit into the way I love to be sporadic with who I am. And like, if I choose to write one day, I can write and not do this. Right. So I created a job that will change my community and young people's lives out of my creativity is worthy and powerful. And so quite great. And then after I had you on, actually, and I know I've talked about this so many times, Leah, like it's amazing. After you pulled my card, this became my mantra. And I don't say it all at once. I just, I say mostly the first line. So abundance and joy are my birthright. Like, because that sits strongly, that gives me chills. That gives me like, abundance and joy are my birthright. I get to spread around so much joy, and I can be abundant because of it. Like that was so strong for me. And then everything I desire is coming in divine timing, which patience, like everyone wants it to happen tomorrow, but you have to plan. You have to see it happening. You have to be open for it not to go the way you planned. And so you can have it all, which for me, when I was like Kat's 125, like she can have it all. I can have it all. We can all have it all. That's so great. And like, that was a while ago that Kat said that. Now I'm like, you get it, girl. Like, I'm just like, I'm like, and I'm abundant. I'm open to receive. My emotions are my ally, which I think for years is such, and especially for male or male identifying counterparts, accepting that you're allowed to even show emotion, and that they are your ally. And I think being vulnerable is so powerful. There's something to that. So that was a huge one. And I am creative and adaptable, which I was like, yes, creative and adaptable. I like my mom, we had very little money. She built all the furniture in our living room from the broken down old fence. So it looked like antique furniture so she built it. So I was like, my resourcefulness comes from my mother, and, like thriving off of and giving her children a good life from $23,000. I was like, yes, I'm creative and adaptable, just like her. And I release what no longer serves me. So letting go of all so many things, that aren't, we can hold on to things and they can show up physically, and they can be destructive in so many ways. So,
but they're there to teach us too. Like when they come up, it's a lesson. Just like even with the money, it's part of the lesson. It's part of the journey of diving deeper, doing the work to heal, and then being free, right? And just being able to have more joy. Oh,
so did you make this up? Or was this like did you do this? Did you write this?
Yeah, I wrote those.
You're so amazing.
Thank you. I'm so happy that one resonates with you. That's such a good one.
Yeah. Well, you pulled it for me, so I feel like it popped out. It did. You are so brilliant. And I just started your book the other day. So I can't wait to share how it goes when I
get through it. But it's my next, like, right in it. I'll destroy it, no doubt. But I'm so excited. And do you have a few tips that people, like, I know that's putting you on the spot, but a few tips for you for people starting out, just like a Cole's Notes version of things you can do to get started with money mindset and manifestation?
Yeah, just kind of like looking at what we talked about before is really just taking that time to sit with your finances and, do your monthly, like your weekly money dates, just getting really clear what's coming in, what's going out. Also writing down, I say journal every day. I journal every day, of getting clear of what it is that you want to manifest, what it is that you're calling in. You could do 4 things every day. What is it? So every day that you're looking at that, what you're manifesting. And the thing is like, you don't have to say like a money amount, but you could say it could be an experience, right? So it's like, that is related to money, because if I'm going to a European trip this summer, I'm going to obviously need money for it, but put that European trip. And then thinking about that next step for it, right? And the universe will provide. You just got to be open to, start looking at the numbers, or looking at the flights and things like that. So things will happen. So getting really clear about those. I would say definitely do your, write out your mantras, put them on your phones, put them on stickers around, just being aware of your words as they're coming out. I'm thinking what else. And yeah, just writing to money as well. I think that's really powerful. Like writing like a love letter to money, and looking at that relationship, because you want to have a better relationship. As I say in my book, there is that art exercise that you can do, creating your money monster. I think that's really powerful, of what does it look like? And then that opposite of, okay, if I want to have a better relationship with money, what does that look like? What is that money honey? And how are you going to call him in? Because, or her, it, whatever, of like, how are you calling in that energy, and how are you speaking to it? Because money wants to have fun. Money wants to love you back. It's an amplifier.
Yes.
So those are some quick tips that you can like do right now.
I love it. Thank you. Thank you for, I know that was some repeating, but it's always good because people don't always catch everything. And then I have the kids interrupting halfway through or 10 times over. And okay, so I have a final question. It's sponsored by Red Bicycle Communications, and it's describing your perfect ideal day. So like a day in the life of Leah. What does that look like for you?
Oh, my ideal day. Well, I love waking up, having my own time before anyone else wakes up. I like to meditate, journal, and then I would love to just get up and go with my family to the beach. I love having beach days with them.
Oh, nice.
Going out to lunch, coming back. If it was like an ultimate day, I mean, we do this once a year at my house, but on New Year's Eve, we have a skate party.
Oh, fun.
But that would be like an epic day. That would be really cool to have like all my friends over and we go skating. So that would be kind of like my ideal day.
Like roller skating?
Yes, we roller skate.
Right.
Yeah.
You're a big, okay, I just had to clarify because most of my listeners are in Canada. So when you say skating, they'll be like, oh, she goes to the rink and goes skating. No, you're talking roller skating or the pond. We're like, oh, she's going to the pond or the rink.
Yeah, I live in a cul-de-sac.
And
so
you can see Leah's ground, and she does cool things on her roller skates.
Yeah, so just getting out my skates. But yeah, I'd like to fit in the art here and there. Like when I'm at the beach, I'll be like painting with watercolor or something. So that would be my epic day, if I could fit it all in one day.
Yeah, it's tough. You're like, I would be like, okay, on this day I wouldn't get tired, number one, right? On this day I would not run out of energy.
Yeah.
At 3:00 and hit a wall. No, it's and lots of eating a day, including lots of good food, right?
Yes.
Okay, it was so lovely to see you. Thank you so much for being here. Where can everyone find you? Because I know you have multiple accounts.
Yeah. Well, my website is leahguzman.com. On Instagram, I'm Leah Guzman Art, or Art Therapy Online. And if you want to do the creative experience, it's Leah Guzman Creative Flow. So if you want to, that's that 3-day experience. If you want to register for that,
Which I think you should. It sounds pretty. It's free. Then that's a big deal. So I definitely think people should do that. Wonderful. And when do they have to do that by?
Well, we started 11/11, November 11th. So
Right,
as long
you
as
said that.
it's all good. It's getting late.
And I've been tired since 3, like I said.
I had some
Now
coffee today. I was a little bad.
it's
I was like,
8.
you know what? I'm gonna drink coffee in the afternoon.
Oh,
So
I'm so jealous that you can do that. Coffee puts me into like a weird foggy state of like not good.
oh, okay. That's the only way I'm awake right now.
Not helpful for anybody, let's just say. It's like a foggy, anxious mode. And I'm just like, I can have 3 sips and I have 3 sips. I love to make it. There's something about like the process of making a latte and like steaming it and pouring it. I love it. Well, obviously, it's just the artist in me. I'm like, so I get up and that's like the first thing I do, and it's not my coffee.
For someone else.
I have a little sip and then I'm like, that's it for me. And because, yeah, living life on the edge. I tried it the other day. It didn't work out. And I'm like, don't do that again. We've tried it before. And it's
That's
not
great.
for
Your
us.
teeth will always be really white and they're beautiful. So that's good.
Yeah, my teeth will. No, I'm a tea person. And I just gave up Red Rose because I know that I was also getting high off caffeine. That was an adjustment. Anyway, I said to my sister, I was like, why do I have such a headache? I felt like I was going to die. She's like, it sounds like the day I gave up coffee. I was like, oh my gosh, the Red Rose tea. The Red Rose tea was like probably the equivalent of coffee in just a different thing, right? Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to go to bed.
Okay, yes.
And I'll let you go to bed. Thank you for staying up so late and joining me here. And I hope everyone goes and checks out your beautiful community and everything you do, and just signs up for this thing by the 11th, which I should know. I was like, is it the 4th or no?
11/11.
Yeah, everyone will remember now. Okay, my friend, we'll chat with you soon.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
See, wasn't that a great episode? Leah is so well-spoken and so intelligent. I look up to her in so many ways, and I can't wait to continue to work in her the Art of Manifesting and Healing book, because I think it is a muscle that you have to continually work on, just as like physically in the gym, you take your body to work out. For me, I actually work out for my mental health. And so I feel like this is just part of one of those muscles that you have to work out. And I actually chatted about a story. If you go into our community, you can see my story in writing if that helps you really take something in. Like everyone obviously learns in different ways. So you hear things, you learn it, or you see it and you read it, or you experience it. So there's different types of learning. So if you like to read through things, I have the cues in the Color Me Happy community, where I take you through creating affirmations for yourself. So I have some that I made for examples. I am open to change. I trust that I can adapt to any situation I find myself in. I know that the path I am on is taking me where I'm meant to be. So affirmations are something that you work on and tell yourself daily to keep you on track. And especially if you're going through distracting or difficult times or stuff like that, affirmations are so important. And of course, we talked about creating a mantra. If you don't have one, make one. They are the best. Literally gotten me to the place I am today, and I couldn't have done it without that. And that actually came from listening to books by Jen Sincero, one of my favorite authors, because she's so raw and honest and funny, and obviously I would gravitate toward that because I like when people are themselves. That's so great. So in this queue in the community, I called it the art of letting go. So I speak about why things felt so hard. And thinking back to like learning to tie your shoes or riding your bike for the first time, they seem so impossible. And other people could do it, and why couldn't you? It's so frustrating. It took so many times and trials and tribulations and confusions to get it right. But once it did, everything just clicked. And then, freedom and independence. You can tie your shoes. You're the greatest. Or you can ride a bike. Now you can always ride a bike. Riding a bike is just something that you do, right? And once you overcome those hurdles, and when you think about money and abundance and that can be dealt with. But like I always gave things away. Like that really helped with it. Like compliments, money, paying for people's coffee, stuff like that. That always helps. That's my tip. But once you figure it out, it's just something you do. It's so weird. It's like a switch goes off. And a great example of this is I like to run in the woods. I like to run in the woods 4 times a week. And there's a spot where the chickadees play, and I love them. I feel really connected to them because my mom had this thing about chickadees, and she would always whistle their song when we would go fishing together up north in northern Saskatchewan. And so every time we'd be on the lake, she's like, oh, they're singing, and she called them the doo-doo-doos, and because it was like similar to the sound they made. And so now I go running in the park and I see the chickadees. And one day I was running and they were playing, and there's this like one spot, and I was like, what if I just reach my hand out and see what happens? I thought it was something reserved only for like Disney princesses that like, the birds climb on you and the deer eat out of your hands and all that stuff. And I just outreached my hand. I would took a deep breath, and I just trusted and was really calm. And then the chickadees started landing on my hands. And now every time I go to the park, they continue. I don't have food. Every time I'm there, I'm like, I forgot treats for you guys. I'm so sorry. Because I'm always in a rush getting away from my children when I go running. I'm like, oh, Mama's got to go, bye. So I always forget seeds, and next time I'll take seeds for my friends. But I've done it so many times now for the last couple of months that I go out there and I just know that they're going to be there, and it's not like this big. It's still big. I openly wept when it first happened. There's something really magical about it. But they're now when I walk forward slowly, playing around my feet. It's so weird. And I can't help but think about that abundance and things coming your way and opportunities. It's like once you figure it out, once that clicks, it's like, oh, that's just something I do. I'm a chickadee whisperer. You'll become a money whisperer. And I actually took my little boys for a walk, and I was like, let's go find the chickadees. And literally, we weren't even in the same spot, and the chickadees came to me. They didn't go to the boys, but it was so weird. I don't think it's the same group of chickadees. It's a big piece of land. So, it's just nuts. Something just switches. So I want you to go through this work. I want you to read what we did in the community. And also, Leah actually has found it. Okay. Leah has a step into your creative flow for healing and manifesting abundance. It starts November 11th, this November. Day 1, it's create flow in your art for healing. Ways to manifest. Day 2 is ways to manifest abundance using your art. Day 3 is set intentions to focus and take action on your desires. Amazing. This sounds really, really, really cool. And I will have the link for this in the notes. Be sure to check it out. We also have our sponsors to thank, Red Bicycle Communications, Oasis Hot Yoga and Spin Studio, and Nouveau Laser and Aesthetic Center. I love their myths and facts, obviously, because who doesn't? Okay, this is gross, but like such a satisfying one. Obviously, I have a problem with it. Certainly many people do. Popping pimples makes them go away faster. So satisfying. Those videos are super gross online, but I could get lost in the shows and the things, and it's so gross, but like so something about it. Anyway, or when they pull like weird bugs or like slivers out. I don't know. Okay, gross, right? But gross, but not. I don't know. Oh, one time. No, I'm not going to tell that story. Okay, fact. That was a myth. Okay, so popping pimples don't make them go away faster. Fact. Picking and popping pimples causes more damage, more inflammation, infection, and more acne, which can result in scarring. I know that this happens. And Vanessa and I actually talked about it. When you push down on the surface of your pimple, it can push some of the infection down and around and cause more acne to like spread under the skin. So she says to try icing your skin several times a day to help reduce the inflammation, and don't apply makeup directly over the already irritated skin. Instead, use a tinted SPF, which there's tinted SPF is really sweet. I use it for my makeup, which is nuts. They are getting better at making stuff for your face. I'm telling you. And this stuff, she put on my face one day after like a treatment, and I was like, I had to message her back. I was like, what is this magic that you put on my face? She's like, oh, that's just our tinted sunscreen. I was like, tinted sunscreen? It has like color matching beads. It's amazing. Okay. Yeah. You guys have an awesome day. Thanks for being here. I always love having you and chatting with you. Feel free to reach out anytime. Join our Color Me Happy community. Visit brandyhofer.ca. You can message me on Instagram at brandyhofer studios. That's where I'm most active. So thank you so much. Ciao. If you're looking for some time for yourself to relax, release, and unwind, Oasis has the perfect space for you. They offer yoga and spin classes of all levels. Whether you are a beginner or advanced student, Oasis thrives on accommodating all aspects of the practice. Let their serene environment and gracious staff help you in your journey of peace, healing, and strength. Sign up online at www.oasishotyogastudio.com or by downloading the Oasis Hot Yoga Studio app. Feel like yourself. You deserve it.